How you guys doing? Just thought I'd hit the go button here. See how everyone's doing. Let me know if you can hear me okay. If I'm too loud. If you can hear the dogs barking next door. Haven't been on for a while. So I thought, must be time. And I had big plans to get some high-level production going. I've got a green screen ready to go. Unfortunately, I need to get some better like stands and things to hang the green screen off, and I also have to get the software upgrade to make it work better as well. So slowly starting to gather the equipment and the resources, guys. If you would like to assist with that rollout of production upgrade, you can, well, probably not that one. You can go to philrice.substack.com, sign up for a subscription there, or you can go to YouTube and do the same. And there's a couple options there, and they're all reasonably affordable. And it all goes back into the channel pretty much. So cheers, everyone. I trust you guys are well. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, I didn't have a particular conversation in mind. However, I would love just to hang out for a bit and interact with you guys and essentially see who shows up. Let's see here. Let's try that one there. That one's quite nice, isn't it? Maybe that one. Maybe we'll go for that one instead. Just playing around with the software here. You guys all good? Tell me what the video quality is like if you could. That'd be great. I'm using 720p at the moment because the hardware, well, it's recommended that I use this. So but yeah, so what's been going on? So let's see. So I haven't really done any live streams since probably the end of December or towards the end of December. And I must say, I have really been enjoying some time off away from computers. There's been lots of social interactions going on, and I'm a kind of a social person. I do struggle with a lot of interactions sometimes, and my preference is to mostly sort of, I like my space. I like my quiet time in that. And yeah, so there's been a few things going on. I haven't been on any grand adventures in the last month, except obviously in the meditation space, perhaps. But yeah, I've been excited about, what to plan for the new year on the calendar year. And that includes I'm going to bring on a couple of guests in the coming months. That should be quite intriguing. And I'm sure some of you will enjoy. There's some lovely people. And yeah, I'm just kind of playing it by ear. I haven't really made any solid plans about the outline of the year. I really enjoy sort of just being able to fly by the seat of my pants and be, quite free. So, but as the year unfolds, the channel and what's on the channel will also unfold. And so I just want to say a big thank you to all the wonderful people who have been supporting the channel over the last, it hasn't been quite a year since I've really been getting busy on this channel. But, we're up to nearly, 800, just over 850 subscribers, which is wonderful. And I just want to say also, once again, thank you to everyone that's been, liking and subscribing and sharing and commenting and all those types of things. And with the increased amount of sort of activity on the channel, that also brings a lot more communications. And so for those of you who have reached out to me wanting to be sort of conversational, forgive me if I'm a little short sometimes. I want to do my best to help you out, but I don't always have the time to engage in conversation. But if you've got specific questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll do my best to help you out. And yeah, the what's coming down the line, well, I'm still going to leave it a little bit of a mystery, even for myself. But, I've reached out to a few people, and, there's some conversations going on. I've been reached out to as well. I've been asked to be involved in some interesting projects. And, for those of you who aren't aware, I sort of have a wide range of interests and things that I like to do. And, probably like many of yourselves, I'm finding my feet as I go along my walk. And I've accrued in my lifetime a variety of skill sets, some of which I have to say have atrophied a little bit. They're not as good as they used to be. And I'm looking forward to sort of getting back on the bike with a couple of them, especially writing. I have a Substack blog, and I've only put one up there recently in the last while, and excuse me, that is not how I want to roll. Keen to get some more experimental and creative writing out there. And I'm pretty happy with Substack actually for the moment. So yeah, cheers. But the other thing too is, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've just started dropping a few more snippets from longer form videos. I'm exploring the different formats and ways of sharing things. So, for some people, they're looking for this stuff. They're looking for hermetics. They're looking for understandings and explanations that make sense, even at an intuitive level initially. They're like, yeah, there's something about this. But what I've found is that when somebody sees an interview with someone like, say, my Martin Folks interview that I did last year, or the conversation I had with Martin was nearly 3 hours long. Now, that 3 hour, when they see that information on the bottom of the corner of the screen, that can put them off, and there may be some value in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back through some of the previous content, and I'm going to just chop some of it up and share it, just to promote a little bit more interest. Really keen to sort of, I don't know, hit the 1,000 subs kind of milestone. And I think too that this channel acts as a little bit of a portal, a bit of a gateway for people who have been looking, for a really good system of development. And for those of you who have been doing Bardon for a while or are getting into it, you're probably already recognizing the value and the potential in this collection of skills, or alternatively also the pathway that Bardon lays out. And that will come up as a conversation in the future too. We'll talk about the collection of skills in the book, Initiation into Hermetics. And we'll also talk about the actual pathway that's laid out. And I think there's an important distinction to be made there. And we can probably even flesh it out a little bit further too. But hey, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. I see we've got a few people in the chat. Hey there. Let me know if I'm sounding good, how the video's looking. I'm just playing around with different screen layouts here. And unfortunately, we're still waiting for the software upgrade, guys. So, if you want to help out, you know what to do. You can click the join button on YouTube here, or you can go to Substack and sign up. And so far I've recently been able to purchase a green screen. Now, what does a green screen offer? Well, it turns out there's a lot of fun things you can do with the green screen. And as a teacher and as a creative teacher as well, I've been sort of activated to get more into exploring technology and how that can be used to essentially, aid the learning process. And because when it's fun and engaging and sort of relatable and tickles a few familiar sorts of spots, there's a deeper level of immersion and engagement there. And this is what I'd really like to play around with. And so I've got the green screen waiting. I haven't quite got the rest of the tech. I need the software upgrade. You can see, I think it's right. Oh, you can see that animation that's moving there. That indicates that I'm using the current free version of the streaming software, which unfortunately results in a limited amount of functionality. And so, if you guys are enjoying the content that comes on this channel and you would like to support it, once again, go to Substack, join with YouTube, get a subscription there. I've got a $1 option. Every little bit helps. And I'm grateful to all of you. I really am. Thank you so much. So, what else is going on? Well, as far as what's coming down the pipe goes, I've got some ideas for some new shows, and I've reached out to some people, and some people have reached out to me. And I may have mentioned this actually just before, that I have something on my eye. No, I'm kidding. I've actually been approached by a couple of places. One channel in particular has asked me to come on board and do some regular presenting on. I'm going to be co-hosting a new show with a friend of mine soon. It's a slightly, the subject material is related, but it's a little different. But yeah, it should be fun. So I'll let everyone know about that. Some of you will probably be right into it, and some of you might not be, but essentially this channel will sort of tend to be more focused and remain sort of with training assistance at its core. I really love exploring how to sort of fatten out the lifestyle of a hermetic practicer, pulling in these other valuable sorts of modalities and methodologies like, Qigong and Reiki and yoga, and, how they've all just got these beautiful elements to them. I mean, mixing Kabbalah and, Barden's Kabbalah and, Tai Chi together, for example. My gosh, that's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun. Bringing in body mechanics, moving and standing postures. And, this reminds me of, being a guitar teacher or even just a music teacher back in the day. And I would encourage the students, a lot of them were quite young, but, we would get into playing drums on the guitar, as well as learning to strum and play songs and fingerpick and all the rest. I would teach them how to play drums. So you learn how to use your right hand on the hi-hat and your left hand on the snare. And you learn how to do this, and then you get your feet involved as well. And you start having sort of these different parts of your body. There was more of your body involved. And so when, if they're on guitar, we might strum and tap our feet. If we're practicing drums, we would sort of do this. So the key takeaway here is that I would ask the children or encourage the children and explain to the students. I'll use the word students. That's a better word because, was that the more of you in your entirety of your body is into or engaged with what's going on, it's a much more rewarding process. And it's also the way that it's experienced by the people who are enjoying what you're sharing with them. And, I kind of feel the same about, the presentation opportunity here and the streaming software that I'm using, this one here, EVMux. It's got a lot of opportunity and and it's a bit of a startup, it's not a well-established streaming software, but, what I've found is that these startups are very responsive when I reach out to them and say, hey guys, I love this, what you're doing. How about this for an idea? Whereas if I've gone to maybe some of the bigger ones that I've tried using in the past, not so responsive. And so, yeah, not so much partnering up, but just, helping to create a really fun and engaging platform for, there we go, let's try that. That looks a bit better. For you guys, for learning and also to have, a greater experience because, hey, there's things that can be done. And I love exploring the opportunities within the tech environment. And yeah, so once again, thank you, everyone. It's great to see you all. And it's been a very hot summer here in Auckland in New Zealand. We have had the nuttiest weather here. We have had storms. We have had insanely hot days. And yeah, it's been pretty wild. And we've got a bit more of a mild one today, which is quite welcome. So at the house here, we had a pipe up, and we had to get a pipe get blocked, and we had to get the plumber in. And it's been very hot. And this chap is quite capable, but he's in the blistering heat, digging a big hole and getting concrete cutters and other things involved. And, tough old bugger too, bless him. Yeah. So, I just go out and I see this big hole that this guy dug, and I'm just reminding myself, like, keep pushing, keep pushing, Phil. It's good to have those amongst us who are quite capable, and attributes and characteristics and traits to aspire to. So, what about you guys? What have you been up to? Tell me, have you been on holiday? Have you been on any grand adventures? Have you got anything coming up that you're excited about? Oh, and I just wanted to say too, for those of you who are, Franz Barden practitioners, Victoria Amadea on Facebook has just started up a Franz Barden accountability group. I think it's a private group, but you should still be able to search for it. So it'll be called Franz Barden Accountability. I believe that she's advertised it or posted in most of the Franz Barden groups. And what it is, it's I think it's mostly daily, but essentially it's to sort of help people who are, stay on track. And it's an ongoing communication. And she's been using polls. And you basically click, the question is, did you practice today? And you either put yes, no, or other, and put an explanation there. And it's getting a really good conversation going. Excuse me. And I think that's a great way to, get involved with what's going on, is to, look at opportunities about how we can support each other. And I do believe that there are some other things coming as well. I saw that there's another group that sort of started up, and they're like the I think, what does he call it? I think he calls it an equilibrium hangout. I can't remember who the person was that created the group, but it looks very cool. As far as okay, does that look? That looks pretty good, doesn't it? So what we're finding now is that some of the students are starting to step up. And hey, look, we're all students, really, aren't we? But people are stepping up and getting organized, and also, they're bringing about community-focused projects with the intent of, fellowship and, working with people, working with others, and supporting the other students. And, as someone who used to teach groups of students, I'll just use music for this example, when, let's say I had to nip out for a moment, like I was in a school and, there's something urgent had happened and I had to do something. Now, when I had the older students there, I would get them to lead the class. And so, or what I would also do is that, once we had learned something, I would choose a student to, once they had grasped it, to get up in front of the class and explain it to them. And so what this did is that it's one thing to learn something from someone, and then it's another thing to share your understanding with the intent for others to learn. And what you'll find is that the way you receive it is going to be, once you've absorbed it and understood it and can demonstrate it to yourself and another person, the teacher, etc., satisfactorily, it's quite another thing altogether to then seek to share that understanding through your own sort of verbal framework or through your own spoken presentation. And what this does is it sort of it initiates a creative process, because you can explain it. And a lot of students would start off using the template of my explanation, but they would also, surprise me a lot of the time, and they would have their own unique explanation. And for me, that was just awesome, and I think that's what I'm seeing is more students, more practices, starting channels and groups and that. And it's wonderful to see. Look, there's plenty to go around, guys, if you know what I mean. Like, there's plenty of people out there looking for, Barden is a very niche sort of, realm of learning. And if you go through YouTube, you'll find, the usual suspects on there, and then you'll find people who are book reviewers and, general magical commentators or YouTubers, and they'll be talking about Franz Barden. However, unless you're really into the practice, you're a practicer, maybe you're not kind of just cherry picking things. And don't get me wrong, there's some absolute gold in the Barden book, even for cherry pickers. But it's a whole nother thing to start stacking the proficiencies that you gain as you move through the process. And the more that, in my view, the more Barden practices develop and gain these skills and then decide to, become teachers or just start a channel and start sharing or documenting their journey, etc. This works out very, very well. Now, what would I say to, people who are just starting out on, say, YouTube, for example? Like, let's say you've started doing it, you're up to, you've finished a few steps and you feel comfortable about sharing what you've learned, or, you're sharing the process that you're currently engaged in, what's working and what's not. I mean, essentially, when you're starting up a channel, it's about, sharing ideas or discussion, or, or interacting with community, which is, and more. And, I'm figuring this out as I go along as well. I've had channels in the past, but, one thing I'd say to you is that if you were looking for a place to start and you've got a channel and you're wanting to build up a base of an audience, what I did was, and this is a bit of a no-brainer really, is start interacting on social media with the people that, you respect, that you follow, right? And just put positive comments, or, give them useful feedback, constructive feedback, and just, say things like thanks and that, right? And then develop a presence online. And then create a few of your own videos, your own explanation type videos, and build your own little body of content on your YouTube channel, even if it's a little wee fledgling channel like this one. Although I guess I'm probably a bit past just fledgling now, but and then what you can do is that once you have a little bit of time and you've developed a little bit of a presence in the community, you can reach out to people and ask them, would you like to come on my channel and have a chat? And what that does is that you will start attracting, people from their channel who are interested in them are going to watch them on your channel. And then they might watch another one of your videos and go, oh, this is pretty good, I might subscribe. And that will help to sort of build out your audience. And it can just take off from there. So, everyone kind of wins using that method, in my view. You're giving the teachers and the other speakers, a platform to spread the message, and you're also an opportunity for yourself to work on your conversational dialogue skills with people. Being prepared for conversations is quite handy as well. Like doing some prep work, get to know, watch a few videos with the person, learn about their topical material. You can have a general conversation or you can have a wide-ranging one. My ones are all over the place. I have people on the channel who are, quite focused with their, with the core of their message, and then we can go wider as well. And essentially, I've wandered away, like I said, this channel has, wasn't necessarily intentionally a Barden channel, and it's a wider channel than that. But I cannot help but be, I've got a soft spot for the Barden material, and so I see the great value in it because it's just the succinct, collection of highly valuable practices and skills that you can develop for the enhancement of your life and that of others. And, for myself, who's a Reiki practicer, I've taken tremendous value from reading this book and learning how to understand, I guess, things that weren't very well explained to me or that I couldn't find elsewhere. from the point of view of a universal viewpoint. And so, I know there's a lot of people out there in the wider spiritual community who are searching, and there are a lot of topics in the public ear at the moment that are becoming, that are trending, if you will, or becoming popular. And, love him or hate him, Joe Rogan has had some important guests on lately for the, I guess you might call it the spiritual arena. He's had people like, he had Tom Campbell, who wrote the My Big Toe, My Big Theory of Everything. And he worked with the Monroe Institute with out-of-body experimentation and meditation practices in the 70s and the 80s. I might have to double check those times, but essentially, that creates interest for keywords to get mentioned by people. And these are ways to, these are things that can be monitored, because someone like Joe Rogan obviously has a rather large following. And so when he has someone on who puts in front of his audience, we're going to talk about out-of-body experiences, astral travel, that creates an interest surge. And people will start looking for that. And the algorithm picks up on these things. So, yeah, I mean, this is, like I said, these are just some ideas, some things I've thought about that I share, for those of you who are looking to start a channel or get involved more so with, sharing information. And this is a universal one too, just establish a body of content, get involved on social media and comment and share the thing and show your support, and then reach out to those people that you would like to have on, that you respect, and it's a really great, and yeah, you get to work on also when you have people on your show. It'll help you work on your conversational skills, your hosting skills, your presentation skills, your public speaking, and all this. I mean, these are great. I'm just sitting here. I've set up a bit of a scene. I've got my scrolling ticker up the top there. Welcome. Please enjoy the dojo. There's a couple of links there you can follow if you want to, have I got some here? I think I've got some here. You can essentially, advertise for you. You may be a practicer, like a service offerer. Maybe you're a healer or a reader or an astrologer or whatever. But this is how it's kind of being done nowadays. If you want to sort of stand out, I see a lot of posts on Facebook for people because this is my bag. This is what I do. So I have to stay abreast of what's working and what's not. It's not so much chasing the algorithm as such. It's more about, as the landscape gets changed by a few little software tweaks or whatever it is, it's in some hidden location across the water there, and then everyone has to pivot and change their tactics somewhat. You have to sort of, like I said, be aware of what's happening out there. And I've been on a lot of Facebook groups and pages where people are advertising their various, spiritual services, if you will. And there's a lot of people on there, and I can't see that there's a lot of engagement for whatever reason. And, you just got to keep pressing, keep tacking away. But I think, one thing I've really enjoyed that's worked well is I'm putting myself on this platform here. There's something like 2 billion people a day that come onto YouTube. And now, does the algorithm like me all the time? Probably not, because I do wander into some spicy territory from time to time. I have concerns. I have some opinions. I have, worldview that may not be all that preferred by the platform. You have to be a little agile, but I'm playing in somebody else's house here. And so I have to be conscious of how I conduct myself. But I'm also conscious of things like that slow creeping self-censorship. Okay. So, yeah. But if you've been sitting on this feed for a while, you may have heard that I've announced that I will be appearing on another platform soon and co-hosting We're going to be trialing out some collaborative work, and that could be quite fun. And I'll have probably a little bit more latitude depending on what we end up speaking on. I'll probably actually start wandering a little bit more into spicier material on the Substack. So if you, guys, seriously, if you haven't already, no, that's not what I want to do. Yep. Oh, no, that's the one. philrice.substack.com. It's up the top here too, isn't it? Go check it out. There's a bit of stuff on there. I haven't been doing a lot of housekeeping on there lately, but just even signing up for an email subscription is really good, because if YouTube goes, all right, Phil, we've had enough, out you go. You can give me your email address, and we can keep in touch in there. If something goes wrong, it does happen. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Hey, what's up, Mr. Randy Sanderson? Thank you so much for joining us. A great pleasure to see you there, brother. Are you well? But yeah, so, but anyway, back to what I was speaking about. You know, if you're in a field of service and of a spiritual nature, if you will, then, you know, there's the TikTok thing is up and down, and, you know, it's hard. It's challenging being on multiple platforms and maintaining a presence on them. You know, like I'm on Telegram, Substack, X, Facebook, YouTube, Substack. Did I say that already? Instagram sometimes. I've been doing a bit of research on this, and I'm probably just gonna squeeze them down a little bit. I like encouraging people to try out the roads less traveled when it comes to social media. You know, I'm not talking about ineffective ones, you know, but things are kind of being rejigged at the moment. And so I've been getting a lot of different types of posts on my Facebook feed. The changing political climate in a certain country has undoubtedly had a reasonable impact, if you will, on the way that social media operates. And yeah, I'm not sure, you know, the dust is still settling there. Well, this dust is still being stirred up. So, you know, let's just see where that goes. But yeah, you know, like I think as far as building a channel goes, just jump on. You know, go to StreamYard.com. StreamYard is really good. It's a nice, easy live streaming software. It's a cloud-based one too. I'd recommend a cloud-based one. So what happens is that when you have guests on, my feed goes to the cloud, their feed goes to the cloud, and then the cloud sends it off to the YouTube or the Facebook or whatever. If you have like a client-based one or something that happens at your end, you create a bit of a bottleneck. And unless you've got super awesome internet, maybe not so good. I'm on like fiber here, like the upgraded fiber plan, and still, like when the kids come home from school and they all jump on the internet, things get a bit slow. And so, you know, when I have guests on, I really don't want to be, you know, I really don't want the experience to be lessened because of the time of day that I've chosen. I've just got to work within the parameters. It's just the reality of it at the moment, you know. And so, but yeah, and you know, I think too that if you're looking to sort of, if you've got a message now, too, you know, you may hear me talk from time to time about previous experiences that I'm happy to share, things that I overcame. You know, these make for great conversations to have in a live setting or in a video, because you're sharing your experience about how you encountered a challenge and you overcame it, and that is valuable to people. You know, this happened and I totally overcame it, and this is how I did it. And there'll be other people out there that are having the same challenge. What you can do is that if you get stuck about like, how can I make this an effective, like a good searchable title in YouTube? Because you got to remember, YouTube is essentially a search engine, you know, which is a great way to think about it. And so you can throw it into chat, into the AI or something like that, and say, hey, look, write a paragraph and say, turn this into a short title for YouTube, like a good searchable, title, and come up with a good idea. And once you see like how that works, you'll be able to start coming up with them by yourself too, or do it completely vanilla. I try and do everything vanilla. Sometimes it's, I don't know, some things it's good. I find the AI to be helpful. But I'm trying also not to become too dependent on it. Now, what goals have you guys got for the year? I have to say, I'm just absolutely glued to the initiation into Hermetics and the key to the true Kabbalah. And the evocation is on the radar as well. Now, some of you may be aware that I have mentioned in the past that I have had some previous experience with Golden Dawn materials, and that was great. But I have to say, after hanging out with the Barden community a bit, I find that this angle and approach has a little bit more interest for me. So, most definitely, keep working through the training. Number one for me. Number two, I would really love to, get some regular written / like audio book type material out as well. I really enjoy, writing. I have a lot of writing that I've done that I haven't done anything with. And so I'd love to be able to bring that out to everyone, because I think you'll find some value in it for your practice. And so part of that is getting good at writing. It's, speaking naturally and writing, the expression form, straight out of the mouth, not too bad. Out of the hand, you'll go back over it a few times. And that's all good. So yeah, has anyone seen any like let's talk about practice of lifestyle stuff here. So we've talked a little bit about some ideas if you wanted to start a channel. Canva is a great way to good free app for making graphics and things. If you haven't played with Canva, the free version's great. CapCut is another good one for making videos, although I do believe it's owned by TikTok, and I'm not sure how TikTok stuff gets treated. Like anything you use tends to leave some kind of signature that other platforms can pick up on in some cases. So just letting you know something there. Learning to do everything from the bottom line, like a Photoshop or a powerful image creator is probably always going to be better. But if you're just starting out and you haven't got all the resources that you need, you go with what's available. Okay, so I watched the original June movie. Sorry, not the original, the most recent series of movies, the first one with Timothy Chalamet. And I have to say, it's funny, it's been a while since I saw that. And as I move through these practices, I'm able to find new value in previous engagements and activities that I have a level of familiarity with. I picked up on new things. Now, most people will say, well, of course that's going to happen. I have to say, I enjoyed the movie so much more. Looking forward to seeing the number 2, the most recent one. I've also been, enjoying watching the Hobbit movies, which I really didn't enjoy the first time round. They were just long and drawn out, and I have to say, I'm enjoying them. I find that interesting. What about you guys? Have you seen anything lately? Watched anything? Or have you heard anything? Have you discovered any new and interesting instruments? There are so many different instruments out there. I think, after so many years of playing guitar and being sort of completely enamored with playing the guitar and playing in bands, and I was a rock muso, rock, blues, bit of R&B, generally always a bit funky. I have to say that, actually, I'll pull up a couple of pics. Let's just pull that down. I have to say that I got pretty bored actually playing guitar. Just didn't. I sort of got up to the point. I was happy with my level of playing, and I sort of found what I liked and what I didn't like. And yeah, I don't know. I guess it's like you do something to death, and then you're like, okay, I've had enough. Had enough. Oh no, these are all not that great. All right, I'll do that another time, I think. Nope, I didn't like that. Let's bring that up. Put me a picture of the magician there. Yes. One there and that one there. I like this pic. I think it's from a box, like a wooden box. I love this kind of art. It's really cool. Great image too. Such a what would you call it? An iconic image, isn't it, of the tarot? Number one, and that's our book. That's our tarot card for initiation into Hermetics. That's number one right there. That's what we're practicing here. What are we doing with the practice? What are we aiming for? Are we just curious? I think that's a great entry point. It's often said that sometimes we're seeking power. I'm just going to pull some cards out. I've got my deck here. We're seeking power. I think that that could be one reason, but because Barden does, he includes refinement in there, and introspection, reflection, contemplation on the self. There's an important sort of what would you call it? Character development that ensues, and this will change the reason for why you're doing this, because new things will open up to you, new perspectives. And I think that the idea of sort of the magician, it's quite a wide sort of archetype, and that it encompasses so much. You have your practices. You are, if we just break it up into the two kind of basics, you've got the chain of manifestation where you're bringing things into form, and then you got the path of ascension where you're taking things out of form. You call it theurgy and thaumaturgy. But we're essentially attempting to discover, well, we're actively seeking to discover the hidden wheelworks of nature. And once we become aware of these, then how can we kind of get our fingers around it to sort of jig a little bit and see if how can we interact with it, and play a role as a more potent type of creator. And one thing I really like about the Barden approach is that the acknowledgement of a supreme being of sorts that we want to work with harmoniously. We could call it serving, but I think the idea of intelligent operation harmonious and lawful conduct. These are quite valuable in that we can explore the greater reality and the subtle layers without gathering unnecessary karma or, problems for down the road, and having this information is so wonderful because we can share this, when we are confident because we've developed a conviction through method, through method that makes sense to us, but graspable, relatable, intelligent. Oh, yes, I can see what's going on here. Once we become confident, and then we can share these things with others, because there's lots of people who are searching and they're going to be going through a lot of materials. We can help our brothers and sisters. We can help them save themselves a lot of time. And, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Every generation can essentially build on the discoveries of the past. And with understanding, especially one sort of couched in the idea of universal lawfulness, people can make strides, confident strides, knowing that they're not going to do themselves a mischief in the long run. And that's valuable, because I tell you what, and you guys might be the same, there's a lot of stuff out there that says you can do this, you can do that, da-da-da-da-da, and you can get away with it too, and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, man, can you? What's a really benevolent method of operation? And that's why I really love this Barden material, And whenever I conduct myself as a sort of a professional mystic or a shaman of that sort, of Reiki practicer, reader, I pull these things, I'm constantly considering, might be better, what is the right way of doing this? How do I do right by not just myself, but others and the collective and the whole situation as a whole? Because I enjoy watching people flourish, prosper, grow, develop, become strong, confident, good quality people. I witnessed this as a music teacher. It was very satisfying to watch young students and older students too develop new capacities within themselves, acknowledge them, and then become more confident. Kids would come out of their shells. Young children would discover, that they were good at something. They may not have been, built for sports or academia, but for some reason they had a natural ability or a proclivity towards music or exploring music. They were like, this is actually weirdly enjoyable. My mother dropped me off here and I was thinking, oh, here we go, another thing I have to do. But it turns out I really like this. Now, how good does that make one feel? I've seen kids turn around like you wouldn't believe, and I'm a big kid trying to grow up one day. But when students find the teacher they've been looking for, because you've got to remember, not all students grok or mesh or connect well with every teacher. I had students come to me from other teachers, and I've had students leave from me to go to other teachers, and that's fine. And that's no different whether you're teaching this, that, or the other thing, including, the Hermetic process as laid out by Mr. Barden. And, I found Barden's work through Mark Rasmus, and I'm glad that I did. And I've explored much of the other teachers, and there's so much to explore. Even though it's quite a niche, there's so much to explore. But I'll say this, I really like getting good at the exercises. When you're developing proficiency and you can unequivocally state, oh, yes, I can do that to yourself. You've written it down and you go, oh, I can see the benefits of journaling. I got better faster. I got to the goal faster once I took my journaling a bit more seriously and got good at it. So there are these type of peripheral or ancillary skills that we can develop along the way, which can be very satisfying as well. You may find that as a result of being diligent with your magical journal, that leaks and spills over into other areas of your life where you may have not been so strong. And this is where these practices become highly valuable, just as a matter of going concern in your everyday life, which is really, I think, the real treasure. Because having incredible adventures is great. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I love having the experiences that I have. I wouldn't trade them for the world. But, I'm looking around the neighborhood going, man, this place could be doing a lot better. I'm looking at across the social media web, the framework, whatever's the world, the online digital world, and going, in my view, we can never have enough good explainers and people of conscience talking about things, because there's a lot of other stuff on the internet, and I don't know what the ratio is of good stuff to not so good stuff, or useful, valuable, sort of, pardon me, progressive, like things that help people progress in their lives, versus that stuff that's just kind of taken up space. Don't get me wrong, I love cat videos too, and animal videos and funny stuff, but it's also a bit of a time sink, isn't it? You can spend a lot of time and not get a lot of value out of those types of things. So, yeah. But let's see. What are some more skills? What are some things? What would you guys like to develop within yourselves this coming year? Some of you guys studying letter magic at the moment. You're working through the letters. Maybe you've got a sweet loadout. Maybe you're just working through the mother letters. Maybe you're in the lab making tinctures and spagyrics and this and that and the other thing. Maybe you are an artist or some kind of creative, and or you like playing Dungeons and Dragons or some kind of internal sort of theater of mind experience type of entertainment. I tell you what, I've talked to a few of the teachers and quite well known people that I've had on this channel, and it's interesting because they do enjoy entertainment as well, and there are a couple who have mentioned that they enjoy playing tabletop gaming, and that when it comes to theater of mind with something like Dungeons and Dragons, maybe you haven't got the big spread of the big table with the interactive screen and all the props and the dioramas and that, or maybe you do, but there's still an internal component where you're playing out the scene in your mind, and obviously that kind of works. That's better. That kind of works well with Barden because you're practicing your visualization skills. And so there's ways of integrating these practices into everyday life, not just for getting good at the practices and the skills, but because they complement and they enhance an existing and familiar experience or activity. And so if there's something you really like doing, being able to have a deeper connection or a deeper level of engagement with the activity is going to add more joy. You're going to get more out of it. It's going to be a more fun time. I remember when I was young and I started playing guitar, I was, exploring all sorts of things in the early days. I remember sitting in a friend's room. He had an incredible collection of music paraphernalia. He would go to concerts and he had this denim jacket, and he had it signed by all the bands. He would wait in line to get signatures, and he had all these vinyl. He had a vinyl cabinet that was probably a good meter and a half wide, and it was just chocker full of vinyl, and they were all signed. Well, most of them were. There was Metallica, and I think, Iron Maiden and Def Leppard and Slayer and Anthrax and Judas Priest, all these huge names in the rock and metal world. And so many bands I've never heard of. I just listened to the radio most of the time. But I discovered a lot of music that way. But, hanging out in that environment as sort of an older teenager, you'd be sitting there and listening to music, and there'd be posters on the wall and be interesting things. And someone would, pass a joint round. I remember the first time that I smoked a joint and that I got stoned. And in this bedroom, I was about 17, and it was an interesting experience because I had smoked cannabis before, but I hadn't got stoned before. It was like, I was a bit disappointed actually. I was like, oh, there's all these TV shows and movies and stuff, and it's like, oh, I've got nothing. Well, this one time, I'm sitting in this room and I smoked this joint, and I'm just going, wow, this is quite an impressive experience. And now I'm not endorsing cannabis use at all. People have to make up their own minds about things. However, sitting in this room listening to music, and I just kick back and I'm really relaxed. I'm like, just letting this thing, I'm on this merry-go-round ride, as some will say, and I'm letting it take me where it'll take me. I've got my eyes closed and I'm traveling through this sort of vortex, and it's really interesting. It reminded me of a video game that I was playing as a younger fella. And I'm traveling through this thing. I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. Like, I'm having this internal visual experience. My mind's eye is sort of active here. But what was really curious is that I started hearing music that I hadn't heard before, specifically guitar solos, lead guitar, these electric guitar, so it was, I hadn't heard these before. And it was like there was improvisation going on in my head. Like my imagination was conjuring up these improvised guitar solos. It was coming from somewhere else. Now, those of you who have done a little bit out of body travel will probably understand or go, well, that could have been. Yes, it could have been. I've been out of body and heard some amazing music that sounded as real and as high quality, high fidelity as anything I've heard through my flash headphones or through the best studio monitors and speaker systems, and even a deeper level of resolution of sound. Obviously, physical eyes can degrade over time, but your mental eyes, are going to give you access to higher resolutions, and the same with your ears, your astral or your mental ears, and so forth. So, this ability for us to be creative and to draw on and pull forth new ideas out of the ether, this is all on the table. And I've been saying this to some of my creative friends lately. I'm very blessed to know some incredible creative talent that, they're all in. Making movies, making games, all sorts of stuff. And right now, the big studios are not doing that well. They're making stuff that people don't want to watch or buy. Now, we may see some change in things at some point, but right now, great time to be an independent developer, to be an indie, to be an indie filmmaker, enjoy, like this is Instagram and TikTok, and YouTube, you're making short videos and things like that. And there's a lot to explore there. Writing stories, you can set up a newsletter, an interactive newsletter of sorts, where you can have a read item and a video portion. And I think, as we move forward, the newsletter, the digital newsletter, will become more sort of an interactive experience. Reading a book, you get some images supplied to help build up a sort of an experience that can help feed into, the written portion, which is great. But yeah, I think, those of you who have started the Barden process and are creatives, keep creating, man. Tell you what, you'll find new things. It'll be very satisfying. Whatever creative conduits you have opened previously will get widened. These pipes will get widened, and what comes through will have, there'll just be newness. There'll be new things. And your ability to express, will become far more joyful than you can imagine. This is, I think, one of the most exciting parts about, this path, if we call it the magician path, is that, these greater resolutions of information that come to us, these new data streams, these richer streams of data, basically give us more ideas. And, we're living in a time now where we can do stuff with ideas quite fast. And, it's really only the challenge is now is like, how do you stand out to get your idea out there? Well, you have to do a little bit of social media marketing kind of study, but to be fair, there's people all over YouTube talking about that stuff. So you got to do a bit of homework though, because there's a lot of stuff that's old or goes nowhere, or it's just, a lot of copycat stuff. But yeah, I think it's blue skies this year, guys. We're going to see some incredible new things come out. Okie dokie. Well, we've hit the hour. I've got to say, I'm starting to get a bit peckish. So I'm going to wander off and make myself something to eat. And I'm going to wish you all a wonderful evening. Oh, and I just want to say thank you, everyone. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you to those of you who have made a contribution to the channel, whether it's commenting, liking, subscribing, sharing, and also, monetary contributions as well. I have got a green screen that was purchased using the funds that have come through from the Substack and the YouTube. And, I'm looking forward to enticing and encouraging you guys. You guys bring me the ingredients and I'll bake the bread. That's what I'm going to talk about. Okay. And I've got a couple options in the YouTube. I've got, I think, like a $1 option, and I've got like a $5 or a $6 option or something, New Zealand anyway. And I've also got the Substack. Now in Substack, there's way less rules involved, and I get much more of the contribution. But if you prefer YouTube to support the channel, I am just grateful. Thank you so much. So this is the first live stream of the year, very impromptu one. And yeah, you can go to philrice.substack.com. You can also book me. Where is it coming? Is it right there? Hang on. Here it is. Bookings. Yes, you can book me at philrice.setmore.com. And I offer, Reiki and tarot readings, and locally and online, and also general consultations. Maybe you'd like to have some one-on-one time with me and ask me some questions or get some help with your practice. Up to you. I'm gratefully yours. Thank you so much for checking out the channel. Please hit the subscribe button and all that. I'll see you guys again very soon. Stay well.